I welcome you warmly to this special seminar. I believe I have been introduced before now, and I believe you know why we are gathered here. You know the subject of our discussion. We are going to be talking about mental health. Yes, we want to look at the aspect of healing and also strengthening your faith. I am here on two capacities. In the first place, I am here on my capacity as a youth leader, a youth pastor. I have been involved in youth work for the greater part of my adult life. I'm involved in training, in teaching, in mentoring young people. So what I'm doing now is part of what I do, is part of my ministry. Then I'm also here on my capacity as a medical doctor, a public health specialist. And what I'm giving here right now is actually a health talk. Yes, that is what it is. Mental health is part of human health. And there are reasons why it is important that we talk about it. Number one is that mental health is a neglected subject, generally. If you ask an adult doctor or health worker to give a health talk, most likely they will end up talking about diets, what to eat, exercise, healthy habits, adequate rest, and other ways you take care of your body. As if your body is all you have. But the truth is that human beings are made up of a spirit, a soul, and a body. So it's not only the body that constitutes your being. So to take care of yourself, you also take care of your soul, or your mind, or your mental health. Then number two, mental health issues are becoming a growing problem, even globally. I think after COVID-19, there is an epidemic of mental health crisis all over the world, including our country. And also, mental health is an important component of health. You cannot talk about health without talking about mental health. Even in the definition of health, mental health is captured. That is why the DG, Director General of World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, he always says that mental health is as important as physical health. So you can never remove mental health from discussion of health. Also notice that neglect of mental health is causing a lot of problems. Mental health problems are having huge impact on the lives that people live. In fact, I said that mental health is the cause of causes. That is to say, if you look at the underlying cause of many challenges we have in society today, you will see that mental health is at the root of it all. I believe you are going to get to understand this in the course of this discussion now. I'm going to tell some stories before we dive into the discussion proper. Around this time last year, 2025, in fact, precisely in the second and third weeks of January, there were two stories that trended in the social media. Number one was from Nasarawa State, where a man beheaded the girlfriend. But the man was said to be a gospel singer. He beheaded the girlfriend in Nasarawa State. And that broke the internet. And before that one died down, another one broke out in Anambra State. A man poured petrol on the wife and set her ablaze. Of course, the woman did not survive the ordeal. So why I told these stories was because when the matter was being discussed in the social media, one of my friends and my colleague, a professor of neurology, he made a statement when he was discussing the subject. He said, a lot of people are already damaged products from all sorts of trauma. A lot of people are already damaged products from all sorts of trauma. So there are three things that I will pick from that statement. Number one, there is something called trauma that happened to people. Number two, that trauma has a tendency to damage people. The people could be damaged because of that trauma. And then number three, a lot of people are affected. So that is why today, as we're going to be discussing mental health, the aspect I want to address is the aspect of childhood traumas. So this discussion today is about healing from childhood traumas, because that is the underlying problem. When we talk about mental health challenges, that is the underlying problem. So what is it all about? What is childhood trauma? By way of definition, childhood trauma refers to deeply distressing or overwhelming experiences during childhood that exceed a child's ability to cope, leaving lasting effects on their emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical development. So if you look at this definition, you see that some words were underlined. Number one is overwhelming experiences during childhood. So childhood trauma has to talk about what happened to somebody during childhood. And that thing was huge, had huge impact to the point that it left lasting effects. So that is the damage. So something happened to somebody in childhood that damaged that individual, that broke that individual. So when you say somebody is broken, it's from what happened in childhood. By way of statistics, how common is the problem? It is estimated that 1 in 4 teens experience significant family challenges or trauma. In fact, some estimates say that about 60% of children experience what is called adverse childhood experiences, something that happened in their childhood that is adverse and could be qualified as a trauma. So it is something that is quite common. And then you should note that trauma changes an individual. You see, when somebody is traumatized, the person has been changed. The person is not the same anymore. A child that experienced trauma is no longer the same. The way he will grow and what he will become will be different from what it would have been without the trauma. So trauma changes somebody almost permanently. You are no longer the same. Another thing you need to know is that you do not outgrow or get over trauma. Did you get that? You don't outgrow it. You don't overcome it. You don't get out of it with time. Time doesn't heal it. It's not a wound that heals with time. No. You can cover it. You can bury it. You can suppress it. But it has not gone. It's there because it has made an impression. It has left its mark. The wound is there. The scar is there and will always be there. So it's not something that goes away on its own, except there is a healing process. And the healing has to be systematic. It has to be a program or a process. And it is going to be intentional. People must work on it for the healing to happen. And that is why we are here. What we are doing here today is parts of healing, bringing healing to people that have trauma, people that have undergone trauma. So healing involves faith. It involves community support. It involves recognizing the importance of addressing these experiences. We are going to address them in the course of this seminar. So let's try and understand childhood trauma. Let's try and understand it. What constitutes trauma? Basically, there are 4 things that constitute trauma. Number 1, what was said to you? Words. A lot of people, the trauma they experienced was from words. Words from their loved ones, from people who are close to them. It may be parents, it may be siblings, it may be uncles and aunts, it may be caregivers, those that raised them up, it may be teachers and peer, friends, playmates. The words being spoken to them can constitute trauma. Then number 2, what was done to them? So sometimes it's beyond words. Actions of abuse, of hurt, of beating, of bullying, corporal punishment, aggression. This could constitute trauma. What was done to you? Deprivations. Then it could be what you witnessed. There are some things that a child should not witness. There are some things that a child should not behold. So sometimes children witness things that they are not supposed to witness. For instance, when the team came from United States, sometime this year, or was it last year? Last year, yes. There was something that broke out that there's a genocide, Christian genocide going on in Nigeria. That U.S. government raised that allegation. And Nigerian government say nothing of such is happening. So they sent some people to come on ground and investigate. So those groups, they were going from state to state, especially those flashpoints, Benue State, Plateau State, Southern Kaduna. I remember one woman, when they were interviewing her, the woman said that her husband was slaughtered in her presence and in the presence of her children. So imagine a child witnessing the father being slaughtered like an animal. That is trauma. The child was not attacked or brutalized, but he witnessed something. Or imagine a child witnessing the mother being raped by 3-4 men. He saw it or she saw it. That is trauma. That's a wound that may never go away. So what you witness could constitute trauma. Then what you were denied. There are some things a child is supposed to experience. A child should grow up in an atmosphere, an environment of warmth, of love, and of care. So if a child is denied those things, it may constitute trauma. Sometime last year, in one of our youth programs, we invited a resource person to discuss some of these things, and she narrated her experience. She said that she never knew the love of a mother up to her adult life. She never knew what it meant for a mother to love her child. She never experienced it. Not that the mother was dead. The mother was alive. She knew the mother. Okay, but she never experienced a mother's love. In fact, she says she has never seen her father and her mother, maybe holding hands, maybe playing, maybe laughing together, and being free with one another. She never saw that kind of warmth and love and affection. And when she was telling the story, she was almost weeping. That is trauma. That for her was trauma. So when a child is denied that kind of nurturing, supportive environment, it can be a form of trauma for that child. So these are the things that constitute childhood trauma. So in summary, there are 2 aspects of it. Number 1 is the adverse event that happened. And then number 2 is the individual's response. Because there will be no trauma if the person did not react adversely, negatively. You see, 2 people may experience the same thing, but for one of them, it's traumatic, while for the other person, it is not traumatic. If the other person have the coping mechanism, resilience, ability to withstand and accommodate the adverse reaction, it may not be a traumatic event. So what makes it a trauma is that something negative happened and it affected you. It touched you. It left a mark on you. That is what we call trauma. So let's look at some cases and causes of childhood trauma. So in detail, I've already given the background. So let's go into it in detail. What are the things that constitute trauma? I'm going to give it based on the commonest reports or studies, the commonest. So the way I arranged it is according to the order of importance in most researches and surveys. Number one is neglect. Neglect is one of the commonest form of trauma. As I said before, a child is entitled to grow up in an atmosphere of warmth, love, and care and affection. A child is supposed to be nurtured. A child is supposed to be handled, touched. There should be touch. There should be kind words. There should be kind actions as a child is growing up. So when a child lacks those things, either abandoned by the parents, there are children that were abandoned. We have children that were abandoned children, picked up on the gutter, on the street, in the toilet, on the roadside, in the bush. The mother threw them away. So they grew up knowing no father, knowing no mother. That's abandonment. That is neglect. Or sometimes the parents may be there, but they are not available. Many people complain and lament that their parents were not there for them when they needed them. So that sense of abandonment is a form of trauma and is the commonest. It is commonest. Absent parents, especially mothers, absentee parents. Then we have abuse. Abuse. There are different forms of abuse. The commonest being physical. When there's actual beating and violence against a child. Okay? When the child is subjected to cruelty, to injury. Sometimes even the physical abuse can cause damage. I knew a girl that lost an eye because of domestic abuse. Some people have lost some parts of their body, broken physically because of abuse. So it can constitute trauma. We also have emotional. These ones come from words, negative words, abusive words, derogatory words, demeaning words. There are some kinds of words that hurt and cut and wound and damage words. You see, when I was raising my child, when he was very young, there was a day he provoked me, he annoyed me, and I said something to him. I said, "You idiot." When I said that word, I shuddered. I know something has gone wrong. Immediately, I stopped and I called him. I said, "Look, you see what you have done to me? You have made me to say a word I shouldn't say." I said, "That word you heard from my mouth, I don't want to hear it from your mouth. It's a bad word. It's a terrible word. I'm sorry for that. Never say it." And I want to tell you that was the first and the last time that word was used in my family. It has never been used before. That is maybe over 20 years ago. My child was still a toddler, a small child that time. But if you go to some families and you hear the words that parents use on their children that they gave birth to, the curses, abuses, insult, damaging words, they cause emotional trauma. Then we have sexual abuse. Sexual abuse in childhood. You see, one of the most serious cases I've ever handled was a case of a young lady. I met her as a young lady. In fact, when she came to campus, she was very promiscuous. Sexual promiscuity. In fact, fellowships were driving her away. If she joins a fellowship, after some time they say, "Please don't come again. We don't want you." Why? Because of her lifestyle, her behavior, her character. She was really deep into sexual promiscuity. Then eventually she started coming to our fellowship. And by the grace of God, she became converted. She became born again. She gave her life to Christ. And then one day, the word of God touched her. She was affected by the word of God. And then she came for counseling. She opened up. And what was her story? From the age of 8, that was when she was first introduced to sex. She was abused. She was defiled. And do you know who defiled her? Her father. Her own father. And it's not once. It's not twice. It was a continuous abuse. Eventually, other people joined. Uncles, nephews, cousins, neighbors. Everybody. They were just abusing this girl. Messing this girl up. In fact, by the time she became 16 years, she had a baby. So that was why she went that way. She became like a broken person. So, sexual abuse could be a form of trauma that may leave a lasting impact on somebody. Then we have family disruptions. When you have separation, divorce, parents not living together. Of course, you know that when there's a divorce, it is the children that suffer most. The children. That's why you see some women, they decide to remain in an abusive marriage just because of the children. Because the children will pay the price. So when there's disruption in the family, dysfunctional family, it causes trauma to the children. Then we talk about losses. When you lose, it could be property, it could be human beings. When you lose a dear one, when a child loses a dear one, especially parents, especially a mother, if a mother dies and leave the children motherless, it's traumatic. It's a wound. Because honestly, there is no other human being that can take care of you better than your mother. The purest form of love in this world is a mother's love. So a child that lacks a mother's love, something is missing. That child is going to be deformed somehow. Then we have loss of home. When you lose your home, or because of instability, because of insecurity, in our country today, we have a lot of IDPs, people that have been displaced. In fact, some children were born in the IDP camp. They don't even know what a home environment looks like. So that can be traumatic. You also have people that have lost their childhood. People that lost their childhood. Think of a child of 8 years, 10 years, already a breadwinner. You know what I'm talking about? A breadwinner. They are working to earn money to feed the family. There are children that are feeding the family as breadwinners, making money so that the family will eat. How about child marriage? Think of a child of 12 years, 13 years who is married out. That child lost the childhood. It lost the childhood. So these are traumatic experiences. Then we have violence. As I mentioned before, either a child experiences violence or a child witnesses violence. Think of a child in a family where the parents are always fighting. Always fighting. The mother beating the wife, tearing her clothes, making her naked in the presence of the children, or the woman beating the man, using weapons, using weapons. Yes, these are traumatic for a child. Then we have other disasters, natural disasters, earthquakes, flood, displacement, fire outbreak. Anything that causes disruption can constitute a trauma for a child. Now let's talk about effects of childhood trauma. What do they do? Look at that picture there. Picture of a tree with branches. So you can look at trauma as a tree where the root is in the soil. You have the stem, you have the branches and the leaves and the fruits. The soil is the environment where the trauma happened, while the root is the adverse event. The traumatic event is the root, while the stem is the time lag, and then the branches and the fruits are the effects, the consequences. As I said before, trauma will eventually manifest. It may appear as if it is buried, but don't worry, wait for it. The fruits will come, the branches will come. And there are 5 main ways trauma will manifest. It will manifest in thoughts, it will manifest in beliefs, it will manifest in behavior, it will manifest in relationships, and it will manifest in emotions. So I'm going to take them one by one. In thoughts, trauma will recondition the mind, how the mind interprets reality. And the reality to a traumatic person is that the world is dangerous. People are dangerous. People cannot be trusted. And things will always go wrong. There's no safety in this world. That is their reality. That's their thinking. That's the way their mind is conditioned. And that will lead to the belief or mindset or conclusions about themselves. That will lead to low self-esteem. Because sometimes trauma will make the person feel that something is wrong with me. I'm not okay. Or it's even my fault. Some people that are abused sometimes believe that it is their fault. They're the one that caused the abuse. They're the one responsible. Or it can make them to be suspicious of other people. And they look at the world in a way that the world is not a safe place to live. And that will now lead to the behavior, adaptive behavior. So the behavior of a traumatized person is survival mode. The person is in a survival mode. There's something we call fight, flight, and fright. It's something that happens when you are exposed to danger. Your body will be activated. There are some hormones that will be released so that your body is ready either to fight or to run or to freeze in fright. So that is what is happening in the life of somebody who is traumatized. So he's not relaxed, and he doesn't look at the world as a safe place to live in. So that's what caused the changes. So sometimes they may be aggressive, and sometimes they may be over-dependent. It affects the emotions, how the way feelings are regulated. So you may see a traumatized person being too attached, or being aggressive. So it may be attachment, it may be aggressive. It also leads to relationship difficulties. Somebody that has trauma will have problems relating with other people. Very difficult. It's very difficult because they can't form bond. They can't bond with anybody. They can't attach very well. All right. It's difficult for them because they always have that mindset that things will go wrong. I will be hurt again. I will be wounded again. I will be devastated again. So they are always cautious when they are dealing with people. All right. So when do trauma resurface? When trauma resurfaces, I say that it will always come up. Even though it's something that happened in childhood, long time ago. Sometimes the person may not even know he has been traumatized. But eventually, in the process of time, it will surface, it will show, it will manifest. And I will tell you scenarios, situations when trauma will show forth. Number 1, in marriage or intimate relationships. Somebody that has been traumatized will find it difficult to maintain a relationship. Okay? It will be difficult to bond. And if it's a woman that experienced trauma in the hand of the father, when she marries, she will be projecting her anger on the husband. Yes, or any other male that represents the husband. So sometimes a man may see that the wife is always aggressive, always quarreling, always attacking him. And the man will be wondering, what did I do to this woman? She's always attacking me. The truth is that it's not you she's attacking. She's attacking the demon of her past, the figure of her father. Okay, so that is because of trauma. See, those stories I told about husband setting the wife on fire and all that, these are all outcome of damage that happened in the past. People that were broken. So in relationship, it will surface. If you marry somebody that has trauma, you are marrying trouble. Somebody said some time ago that marriages fail not because you married the wrong person, but because two childhoods that were not healed came together. You get it? Two childhoods, wounded, traumatized, and not healed, they came together. That marriage is going to have issues. So it's going to suffer as a marriage. Then in parenthood, trauma is going to surface in parenthood. How people raise their children will reflect the trauma that they experienced. I attended a parenting seminar, or I listened to a parenting seminar some time ago. When the resource person started, she started with a question. And the question was, how did your parents mess you up? That was the question she posed on the participants. How did your parents mess you up? What she was saying is that a lot of people were messed up by their parents. The parenting style was a mess. And why did your parents mess you up? Because they were messed up. That was the kind of parenting they received. And that was the kind of parenting they gave. And having messed you up, when it is your time to raise your own children, you will mess them up. You will mess them up because already you are damaged also. And during your parenting, it's going to manifest. That's why we are doing what we are doing today. That you may find healing so that it ends with you. It ends with you. The effect ends with you. That when you start raising your own children, raising your own family, they will not suffer the effect of the trauma. So that is parenting. Then also in leadership or position of responsibility. When somebody who is traumatized comes into a position of leadership, people will suffer. They will inflict injury on other people with their words, with their actions. They will be aggressive. In fact, why do people bully? Studies have shown it. Bullies were people who were bullied. Okay? People who were traumatized in childhood. Eventually they become bullies. So if you see a prefect or a leader who is difficult to work with, difficult to live with, who is aggressive, who you will call wicked, you are dealing with a traumatized soul, a traumatized childhood that has not healed. So in leadership, it will manifest. In losses, in illness, in major transitions, somebody moving from one situation to another situation, maybe in a new job, in a new responsibility, getting married, trauma is going to manifest. Or anything that reminds somebody of the trauma of the past, that demon will come back. It will come back. So we come to the meat of the matter, why we are here. I've just highlighted the situation, painted the picture. But what do? Healing. That's what we are here to do, healing. Because that is the solution. That is the only thing that can reverse, undo the damages of the trauma. Healing. And it is possible. Now, healing is not erasing the past. It's not denying the past. It happened. The trauma happened. The failure happened. The wound was there. And the scars are still there. But it can be undone. Healing is a way of teaching your nervous system that the danger is over. Because if somebody has been traumatized, the person is living under the illusion or the impression that the danger is always there. So they're always, ready for a fight all the time, always spoiling for a fight. So healing is to teach them, to teach the brain and the body to learn that the danger is over. Things are safe now. The people we are dealing with, they are safe. So it's a process. It's not easy, but it can be done. So we're looking at strategies for healing from trauma. Basically, there are 3 strategies. Number 1 is to process the pain of your trauma. That is where to begin, to process it. That is, you face it. you acknowledge it, you confront it, you discuss it. So you will discuss and not deny. The tendency is for people to deny the fact of the trauma. They deny it. They suppress it. They bury it. They repress it. And it will never heal. If you suppress, it will never heal. If you deny, it will never heal. You must own up. You must accept. So that's the first thing, process it. Then number 2, you present your case before God. This is a Christian fellowship. This is a Christian body. So we have to talk about prayer. So present it to God. Don't pretend everything is okay. Don't pretend nothing has happened. No. Bring it forward. You pray and you ask other people to pray along with you. Prayer is important when dealing with trauma. Then number 3, which is very important, is you pursue purpose despite your pain. You pursue purpose. That is to say, you don't allow that trauma to define you or to limit you. You should reinvent yourself. Choose a course and pursue it. The picture you are seeing here is a woman that is well known. That is Oprah Winfrey. She's an American, one of the most influential people on earth. In fact, if you say you are a celebrity and you have not been interviewed by Oprah, then you have not started. For you to be a who is who, a celebrity, you must have attended Oprah Winfrey's show. And what does she do in her show? She created a platform for people to come and discuss their trauma. She herself was a childhood trauma. She was a survivor of trauma. I think she was even raped as a child. I think she even had teenage pregnancy. When she was a teenager, she got pregnant because of the abuse. But today she talks freely about it. She discusses it openly. And then she helps other people to recover. So she found a purpose of helping people. That was how she healed. So she healed and she's helping other people to heal. So it's one of the ways, strategies that help people to heal. You pursue a purpose. Face a direction. Identify the purpose of your living. Let your life become meaningful again. Don't let that trauma define you. So there are 2 paths to healing. We have the faith or the spiritual path as a faith-based organization, as a religious organization. We are going to talk about faith. It's an important component of healing. Then there's also the practical or the professional. Yes, sometimes, if not most of the times, when you are dealing with trauma, you must seek professional help, professional advice, counseling. There are experts who are trained to administer healing and to take you through the program of healing. It takes time. It's not a day's job, but it can be done by the grace of God. So we are here, focusing on the faith dimension, the faith components. So what do? You are going to build supportive connections. It's very important in the process of healing, connections. You have church groups, fellowships. Be an active member of a church group. So if you are here and you're not a member of this fellowship, I want to encourage you. Be part of it. Identify with a group, a fellowship, because it helps healing. Then you must have friends, trusted friends, especially people that have the same story, the same experiences, something we call support group. So identify a support group where you can freely discuss the experiences and the past and your struggles and how you have overcome, the steps you have taken, what have worked for you. You share together, share experiences. It helps. Then sometimes you may need to look for counselors. I know in those days, I don't know whether it is still the same today. We have school counselors. We have guidance and counseling in schools. Those people are trained. So sometimes you may seek their help. They are there for you. So you may need to open up and share with them and let them see how they can help you. Of course, there are things you can do for yourself. When we talk about mental health in general, there are things you can do for yourself to care for yourself. Number one is adequate sleep. Yes, it is known that adequate sleep, sufficient sleep and rest can help to refresh you and revive you and renew you. They will also talk about nutrition, eating well. When people have undergone trauma, it may affect their appetite. Sometimes they go into extreme, either overeating or undereating. But embrace balanced diet. It is known that when you eat well, you feel good. There is a body-soul connection or relationship. They affect each other. Then spiritual practices. Spiritual. Prayer. Very important. The Bible. Study of the Word. The Bible is a textbook for therapy. But when you talk about spiritual counseling, Christian counseling, it is the Bible. But a book like the book of Psalms deals with trauma, different forms of trauma that people go through. Brokenness, a broken heart is there in the book of Psalms, and the solutions are there. So embrace all this and walk with God, and you'll find peace in the Word of God. Now, I want to talk about healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. When people who have undergone trauma, they try to solve the problem by using some strategies. Some are healthy, while some are unhealthy. I want to make reference to them. Let's talk about the healthy coping mechanism. That's how you survive, how you deal with the trauma. I've talked about seeking support through friends. I will not overemphasize it. It's very important. You seek support. Find somebody to confide in. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be faith-based organizations. So it's important to help to heal. You need to find that support. Then the unhealthy coping strategies. There are many. The common has been isolation. That's what trauma does. The person that is traumatized withdraws from people, refuses to attach to people, to form relationship, to enter into relationship. They are withdrawn and on their own. That is not a good survivor or coping strategy. Some people become aggressive. They are unfriendly. They, as much as possible, they push people away. And they also they also project the wound and the hurt on other people. They inflict pain on other people. That's a coping strategy. It's a way of revenge. They are revenging on the world. The world that hurt them. They are revenging on others. Some people go into addictions, substance abuse. I told you about the young girl that because of the sexual trauma she went through, she became promiscuous. She became an addict to sex. These are all coping strategies, but they are not healthy. They are dangerous because she got pregnant, as I told you. Some people contract diseases. Some people also suffer more partner abuse because of that. Some people even lost their lives. Some people have fallen victim to ritualists because of the promiscuity. So those ones are dangerous and they are unhealthy. They will not help you to heal. They will worsen the wound. They are not okay. So what are the key messages from this seminar? Number one is, you are not alone in your struggles. Okay? You are not alone. I told you in the introduction that 1 out of every 4 teenagers is a victim. So think of how many we are in this room. If 1 out of every 4 is a victim, you can imagine how many people are dealing with trauma, are living with trauma. So it's a common thing. And of course, God is there with you. God is there with you. God has not left you alone. You're not alone. So if you seek help, you get help. And your struggles do not define your worth. You see, the trauma will tend to make you, to diminish you, to demean you, to reduce you, to make you feel worthless and useless. I want to tell you that no matter what had happened in the past, it has not reduced you. No matter what was done to you, it has not reduced you. You are still what God made you to be. The psalmist said, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You have something. You brought something into the world. And you must not allow that thing to die. No. The trauma have not defined you. You can rise from the ashes of the past and become the person God wanted you to be. Then, number 3, you do not heal in isolation. You heal in a community. That one is, you see, it is in bold letter. It's bold because it's an important message of this seminar. You don't heal in isolation. You can't keep it to yourself. You can't keep quiet. You have to come out. Well, by the grace of God, some of you have come forward. In fact, we are having this seminar today because some people came forward. They opened up and they started talking. Those of you who are still hiding, come forward. Talk about it. That's how the healing will start. So, find a community. Identify with people that will support you. And I want to introduce the greatest friend you can ever have, our Lord Jesus Christ, who is a master. When it comes to healing of broken people, Jesus is a master. He's a specialist. In Luke chapter 4 verse 18, he said it by himself. He said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. Look at the language. Heal the brokenhearted, the broken, and then them that are bruised. So Jesus acknowledged that people can be broken, people can be bruised, people can be traumatized. But Jesus said, I can put them together. I can recover them. And I want to tell you, I have seen people that have been healed and recovered, and they are so healed that you can never imagine that they had some trauma. I told you about the woman, the resource person we invited, who talked about her past. If you saw the children she was raising, the love and care she was showing to these children, you will never believe that she never knew what it was to be loved by a father or a mother. She never knew it. And yet, because she found Christ and she was healed, her children are enjoying so much love and care. That is what Jesus could do, and he can do it for you. So, in closing, what do I suggest? The next steps. What should you do next? What am I recommending for you? Number 1, look for a trusted adult to whom you can confide. Do it. All of you that have issues of trauma, look for somebody you can trust and confide in that person. Then number 2, join a youth group, a support group. Be part of a fellowship. If you are not regular, I want you to be regular. If you are not a member, I encourage you to be a member. And then number 3, if it becomes necessary, and sometimes it is, look for professional counselors, trained counselors, people that can help you. It's not a small business. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes effort, but it can be done. May God help you. So, I want to thank you for your participation and for attention and for the opportunity that has been given to me to be part of this fellowship and to contribute to the healing process. I am ready for any questions that may arise here during this program. I may answer a few questions. And if you need personal counseling, I am willing to have my contacts to be the least, so that I can deal with you one-on-one, and God will help you. Thank you so much for your attention. God bless you.